Willkommen in Berlin, Hauptbahnhof.
This is a Berlin story.
1960 East Berlin. Lieutenant Colonel Svetlana Orlov is called to KGB headquarters in the middle of the night to review secret files concerning the defection of a top Soviet psychologist to the West.
Svetlana read on. Glushenko, it seemed, then landed in Moscow. After a brief interlude treating patients recuperating from their delusions in his Serbsky Institute nerve clinic, he boarded a civil Aeroflot flight to East Berlin. There he checked into a first-class hotel of near-western opulence on Unter den Linden, where he delivered an address on the latest wrinkles in schizophrenia therapy via use of insulin-induced coma to the German Democratic Republic's Union of Psychological Workers. An addendum noted that the professor so loathed their German allies that he refused to speak so much as a word of their language. His file made it clear that he'd witnessed much of the suffering those most malicious bearers of the capitalist fascist bacillus brought to the motherland during the Great Patriotic War. Well, Svetlana had seen bloodshed too, but frankly the great psychiatrist's stubbornness in this Germanophobic regard struck her as rather foolish. Had not Marx and Engels used that same admittedly guttural tongue to set down the blueprint for the revolution now taking such glorious form in this now at least half-liberated land? She read that Glushenko's schizophrenia speech, delivered in Russian but translated into the tongue he so detested, was warmly received by his peers. Glushenko was then rushed off in a limo for a guided tour of a nerve clinic, a clinic, it so happened, which Svetlana passed by every day on her way to her office, but had never suspected was a place for the treatment of dangerous lunatics. It was well disguised as a warehouse. You learn such things in her job, every day something new and unexpected, which could not be shared with anyone else. The East Germans had set the place up to show how they'd adapted the methods the professor perfected in the motherland to keep their own homegrown troublemakers in line. Glushenko, Svetlana read in one file, marked Top Secret, brought dissidents and reformist thinkers back around to the party line by the liberal application of psychoactive chemicals, insulin overdoses, alternating sulfazine and animazine treatment, hypnosis, and several other new and advanced methods Svetlana's own less technical training did not fully allow her to grasp. Glushenko, though his English was rated as far from perfect, was reputed to be a maestro at interrogating defectors from the West to see if they were the real thing. Svetlana skimmed through one scanty file from only last year. It summarized Glushenko's psychological assessment of 3 American defectors. The first was a Minkenbau, James. The second was a Webster, Robert E. The third was an Oswald, Lee H., the last a former U.S. Marine living in Minsk, codename Valiant. The interviews Glushenko conducted with these 3, Svetlana was given to understand, had to do with determining the men's eligibility, or lack thereof, for being trained and sent back to the main adversary to carry out intelligence work in the enemy's midst. This is Nikolas Schreck for Berlin Stories. For more, go to berlinstories.org.
Berlin Stories on NPR FM Berlin 1041.